No, it's just the name of it. No brandy involved. A little vodka on the side, but no brandy.
Well, I don't believe anybody could know the difference, regardless of what kind of tomato it was. Do you?
They say they're delicious.
Well, I'll have to try them and see if they know what they're talking about.
Me too. You take care of your sweet self.
Okay.
I'm glad
to talk to you.
Glad you called.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
1-800-572-8255. Sound like those watches had about as much maintenance as a helicopter. Let's talk to the Choo man in Dallas, Georgia. Hello, Choo.
Hello, Ludlow.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Buddy?
Yeah.
I ought to know about watch.
You ought to know.
Yeah, because I've got 3 standard railroad watches.
All right.
I've got my daddy's, a Hamilton 21 jewel. I've got mine, a 23 jewel Walton. And I've got a Boulevard wristwatch, which in I believe it's 1978, they okayed us to wear wristwatches. Now that is the only one that I can't set. The other 2, the pocket watches, you could screw the face off and pull that little lever out that the guy was talking about and set it.
Well, but, I never dreamed that those things were that complicated or that hard to look after.
Oh yeah, you'd have to have it fixed that way, Luddy, because if that watch gets knocked off out there and you've got 5 minutes before a train is to show up, and your watch gets knocked off, or put out, or got the time changed, then you're going to get run over by that train.
Either that or you could have 2 trains on the same track.
Yeah.
And you go wake up Leroy, that whole story.
But everybody had to have that was in charge of trains.
We learned a lot about trains yesterday.
Yeah.
That's an amazing thing.
Everybody that was in charge or had to deal with the trains personally had to have a standard watch with a watch card. So I've still got my watch cards. And
did the railroads furnish those, or you have to buy them?
No, you had to buy your watch.
Okay.
I bought my first one, and I bought it from a Sharpie. You had these guys going around, pretended to be working for the railroad, but
they really worked for Greyhound, didn't
they? They really worked for the watch company and jewelry company, and they'd sell you a watch and let you pay for it on turn.
Yeah.
So I was paying for mine by the month, and when my last month come around, my last payment, that wasn't it.
Okay.
The next month come by, I had one more payment before I got my watch paid for. And I called, of course, this old guy and me was pretty good buddies, so I called him. I said, what's going on here? He said, I give you a pen and pencil set when you bought the watch. Said, you remember you wanted the watch chain? I said, yeah. You didn't have a watch chain, so you give me a pen and pencil set. And he charged me $23 for that pen and pencil set that I didn't even need, and I didn't know I was charged for it.
You still had to buy a chain.
And I still had to buy a chain.
Choo, I got to go, buddy. You take care of yourself.
Okay, Luddy. Have a good one.
Right,
I'm enjoying this.
Thank you, buddy. More right after this.
I'm Dr. J.T. Cooper. You've heard me on Ludlow's show many times talking about weight loss and nutrition. If you have had problems losing unwanted pounds and want help from me in losing weight safely, you can reach me at 770-952-7681. I have offices in Marietta, Griffin, Waycross, and Albany, Georgia. That number again for information is 770-952-7681.
Dead man's curve, I used to shut him down. I had the hottest muscle car in my hometown. I could burn rubber in all 4 gears, but I haven't done that in a million years. Hey, little Minnie, we're going to the grocery store. Lord. She's got an automatic tranny with overdrive, and the radio's tuned to Magic 95. She gets 30 miles on a gallon of gas, and I can schlep all the girls to gymnastics class. Her headlights on both night and day, the most practical value in the USA. She's got cruise control, ABS, and EFI. I keep her Michelin to 32 PSI.
Let's go to Dalton, Georgia, and talk to Jeanie on the radio. Good morning, Jeanie.
Good morning, Ludlow. How are you?
I'm fine, my princess. How you doing?
Oh, I'm fine. You know, we could talk a week on these trains, I believe.
Oh, I expect so, yeah.
My late husband worked for the railroad.
Oh, really?
And he had a railroad watch. And I was going through some things one day, and I thought, oh, wait, this thing needs to be taken care of on a regular basis. And I was afraid I wouldn't do it. So I gave that to his friend with the instructions that he was to wheel it back to me. And it is in his will that I get that watch back. Now that I've retired, I can sort of take care of things better than I used to.
Yeah, got more time.
Right. And I don't know, the little boy that I was buying Christmas presents for,
Yeah.
he wasn't supposed to find out who I was, but he did.
You were going to be a secret Santa.
Yeah, because he told me he wouldn't get anything for Christmas.
Uh-huh.
And I called and asked Jeanie what I could get for a 10-year-old boy, and he said about $30, he thought.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, I ended up getting him an electric train, and he just loves it. We're buddies now. He goes with me when I get his Christmas present.
Oh, that boy, electric train, that's quite a gift. I know.
Yeah, well, it wasn't very expensive, and I just happened to run into that. But now he goes with me. I asked him last year, I said, do you want to start a collection of these trains? And he said, no, he would rather have something else.
Oh.
He's from Vietnam, and he told me he wasn't going to get anything for Christmas, so I picked that. Oh, and let me just stick this in here right quick. He was talking about Christmas presents and everything, and I said, well, what do you know about Jesus? He said, oh, Jesus is the Son of God, and he died for our sins. And I was so glad to hear that.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Yeah.
You didn't
I'm
know.
afraid that he might not have.
I'm
You
teasing.
know, I know what you
I'm teasing.
And really sad train singers hear that lonesome whistle blow. Was that mentioned yesterday?
No, that's the saddest song maybe of all time.
Isn't it so?
That's the song that makes you
Do you
squirm.
remember this? Now, this is true, so help me. I've had some people from the north come down here, and they don't believe this story. When the general was hijacked at Ringo,
Yeah.
and they were taking it back to Tennessee, and these men from Georgia hijacked that train at Ringo and took it back to Tennessee. Somebody knows something.
Now you're talking about this happened after the great
In the
locomotive.
70s, 1970s. That was the truth. Somebody called in.
No, that ain't true.
So what is the truth to it? I believe that it is.
I don't know, but
because it made this local news. You know, we're not far from Ringo.
I hope somebody call up and tell. One of the trains involved in that has been at Grant Park in Atlanta since I was a teeny tiny little boy.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it's
in the cyclorama in the basement.
Well, now there was one train. I know it was in the 70s.
The Texas and the General. Now, I don't know what happened to the General.
Well, now this was the General that got hijacked.
Yeah, but I don't think
You don't think it was in the 70s?
I just don't think there's any crime involved.
Oh no, it was all.
Well, when you say hijack, you're talking about getting on them
and that's what they literally did.
Rendering folks unconscious and stealing their phone. I'd like to know the rest. I bet somebody up there will call me. What you bet?
I hope so,
I
because
do too.
You know, the older I get, my mind's what I miss the most, and everything that I've lost.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that I probably haven't got the story just right.
I tell you what, we're gonna get it straight, but we'll get right out of the brakeman's mouth. Somebody call him.
Okay.
I know there was a dispute about who ought to have that thing.
Well,
but I didn't know there was
up in Georgia.
I didn't know there was any hijacking involved. We'll see. We'll find out.
Okay, hon.
You take care of your sweet self.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 1-800-572-8255. It is a toll-free call from no matter where you are listening. And we are wide open today. A lot of folks up in around Morehead City and that area up there are waiting to say hello to Bonnie or to see what kind of mood Bonnie's going to be in when she arrives on their shores. So keep us posted. Scary, scary stuff. And you folks going to sit this one out? I hope to see you tomorrow. Our number, 1-800-572-8255. That's 1-800-572-TALK. Any of you train experts out there who know exactly where I think it's the general, where it is now, and there was some big conflict whether or not it belonged to the state of Georgia or the state of Tennessee. Let's see if we can find out what's going on about that. We'll be right here waiting to hear from you on the Fun Seekers Radio Network.
Never had, look at you had. Now if I ever get tired of my minivan, a red sports car will make me young again. Hey, little minivan, we're going to the grocery store. Get there when we get there. Hey, little minivan, we're going to the grocery store. I used to do that before we left. Hey, little minivan, we're going to the grocery store. I don't care who gets you first, just stop it. Hey, little minivan, we're going to the grocery store. Take me somewhere. Where? That too? What did you do with the last one I gave you?
You're with WBIC 810 AM, Royston, Georgia.
NBC Radio News. In North Carolina, they're bracing for Big Bad Bonnie. Bob Plus, live in Wilmington. What's the latest?
Well, Dick, the rain is coming down heavily now with wind gusts about 60 miles an hour. There are already some downed trees. The power here has been flickering on and off, and there's some local flooding. This is still just the leading edge of this giant hurricane, and authorities expect things to get much worse over the next few hours. The biggest danger is along the beach, where the ocean's expected to be lifted 10 feet by the hurricane. Most everyone on the barrier islands and the low-lying beach communities obeyed the evacuation order, and some who decided to try to stay are having second thoughts now that things are turning nasty and heading inland while they still can.
Where's the storm heading, Bob?
Well, forecasters say it's heading right here with landfall projected south of the city of Wilmington. It's expected to move over this coastal region battering the beach resorts before heading back out to sea.
Thanks, Bob Foss. In Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm Dick Rossay.
Hola! Is this your first time running with a bull? Yeah? It's awesome!
We all do dumb things sometimes, but paying too much for car insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Instead, call Geico Direct. One 15-minute call could save you 15% or more. Just dial 1-800-947-AUTO anytime. That's 1-800-947-AUTO. And stop getting gouged for a change. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
Hi, I'm William Shatner, and when I first heard about Priceline, I said, you gotta be kidding. Name your own price for airline tickets?
It was easy. I called 1-800-PRICELINE, and now I'm going.
Not only was my price accepted, but I was booked on a non-stop flight both ways.
I told my neighbor, call 1-800-PRICELINE. It works. Priceline.com just saved me. No 8-hour drive.
Visit Priceline.com or call 1-800-PRICELINE and name your own price for airline tickets. This is big, really big.
From one extreme to the other, southern Texas is being hammered by rains after a disastrous drought. All that water on baked land means flooding and death. And the situation around Del Rio will be getting worse, according to Michael Birch with the local police.
Due to rains in Kinney County and moving into Valverde County and another storm moving out of Mexico, that we might get up to 4 inches of rain. And this caused us to move the people out of the low-lying areas.
More than 500 people in Del Rio had to spend last night in emergency shelters. Attorney General Janet Reno has ordered a review of Martin Luther King's assassination. The probe will be more limited than a national commission requested by the King family, and it will examine earlier findings that James Earl Ray and he alone killed the civil rights leader. The chairman of the Democratic National Committee says President Clinton's explanation of his behavior in the Monica Lewinsky case is not enough. Colorado Governor Roy Romer says the president needs to address the issue again, admit that he made a bad mistake, and pledge not to let it happen again. A grand jury is expected to begin hearing evidence in the John Benet Ramsey murder case sometime next month, but the district attorney of Boulder says the time and location of the proceedings will be kept secret to prevent it from becoming a media circus.
The Russian economy seems to be in free fall this morning with another drop in the value of the ruble. Eve Conant reports from Moscow.
Nervous Russians are lining up at Moscow banks trying to withdraw their savings before what they fear will be a total collapse of the Russian banking system. The Russian ruble fell another 5% today following yesterday's 10% plunge, and Russia's central bank has canceled all sales of dollars to banks and institutions in an effort to stem the fall of the ruble.
Many Russian stores have closed today to mark up their prices. On Wall Street at this time, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 87 points, and the NASDAQ Composite Index is down 29.64. With NBC Radio News, I'm Dick Walsey.
It's back to school time, and all I hear is...
Let's go shopping for Levi's, Adidas, Nike, and Lee.
They say...
Come on, Mom, now!
Then I say the only place we're going is JCPenney for their national brand guarantee. If I find the same national brand item for less somewhere else, JCPenney will refund the difference. So, my daughter says...
Great, then we'll have money left over for ice cream.
I say don't count on it, but I do have some broccoli for you back home.
JCPenney, I love your style.
See store for details.
Since my heart attack, I'm doing everything my doctor says. Eating right, exercising, taking aspirin regularly.
Bob takes genuine Bayer aspirin to help prevent another heart attack.
But what about headaches? Or for my legs after the treadmill? Can I take more aspirin?
Doctors say people on an aspirin regimen can take more for occasional pain. So instead of Tylenol, take extra strength Bayer for your pain. Nothing stronger.
So I can take more aspirin. Great. Gotta run.
Talk to your doctor and use as directed. Bayer, powerful pain relief and so much more.
America's logging on to AutoBytel.com for our certified used car cyber store.
This saved me so much time.
We got an excellent price. It's the hassle-free way to buy a used car or truck. Type AutoBytel.com and learn about thousands of used vehicles. Even see an actual picture of each one. You'll get a low, no-haggle price with a 3-month, 3,000-mile limited warranty and a 72-hour money-back guarantee.
They were very patient, no pressure at all.
That's AUTOBYTEL.com. We're changing the way America buys cars. See warranty.
When you want more than just another fast food meal, think quality food, fast and friendly. Think Arby's for a delicious change of pace. Arby's prepares their tender roast beef, juicy chicken, and tasty ham sandwiches a variety of ways to suit your taste, plus a long list of side items, and there's even a light menu to help keep you on your diet. All satisfying, served up quick to get you on your way. Discover the Arby's difference for yourself today. Arby's Restaurant, located Franklin Spring Street in Royston and in Livonia on Highway 17 towards Socoa. Good morning. It's 11:06 here at WBIC. We got Southern Gospel favorites coming up following Ludlow Porch. Stay with us this afternoon as we'll be getting into some of your Southern Gospel musical favorites and also keep you updated on Hurricane Bonnie as it's coming inland to the North Carolina area. We'll have more information on that on our 12 noon newscast on NBC. I'm sure NBC will cover it, and of course Georgia Network News will be covering it as well. Right now, fair skies by 86 degrees as we check in with Jennifer at the Weather Channel.
Looks like fairly quiet weather for the rest of the work week as an area of high pressure builds in. Pretty hot as well as high temperatures soar into the low to mid 90s this afternoon. We will see plenty of sunshine and a fair night tonight, lows near 70 degrees. For tomorrow, mostly sunny, highs into the low 90s and warming up into the mid 90s for Friday, mostly sunny. From the Weather Channel, this is meteorologist Jennifer Narrowmore.
Alrighty, WBIC time's 11:07.
This is the Ludlow Porch Show on the Fun Seekers Radio Network, brought to you in part by AirTran Airlines, It's Something Else, and by Atlanta Braves Baseball. The toll-free line's now open at 1-800-572-TALK. That's 1-800-572-8255. And now, here's Ludlow Porch.
Well, good morning, Fun Seekers. Glad you are with us. Great day as we are on the verge of moving out of the month of August. been quick. But then, of course, so was July. We got some folks put on hold a long time. We're going to get right back to the phones and go to Cleveland, Tennessee, and talk to Helen on the radio. Good morning, Helen.
Good morning, love.
How are you, my love? Good. Fine, thank you.
Good. This funeral, it was parked up here, just north of Ringo. When we moved to Cleveland, or to Tennessee in 1966 after Kentucky got out of service.
Uh-huh.
And then it was probably in the 70s, as the lady mentioned. But there was a legal battle between Marietta, Georgia, and I guess Chattanooga, Hamilton County. I'm not real sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. That rings
and
all that
it was a
rings.
legal battle. There was no kidnapping or anything of that sort. But it was a legal battle, and it was moved back down to Marietta, and that's where it is now.
Okay.
But it wasn't, you know, of course.
I remember reading about it.
Uh-huh.
I remember reading about the legal battle.
Yeah, there was. It was all legal, but wasn't very well received in this part of the country.
No, I'm
It's
sure.
been here ever since the Civil War.
Yeah.
And and there's still a marker where it was parked up here because that railroad is not used and hasn't been used.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great locomotive chase. That was a great
that's
adventure.
right.
Yeah. And I've been seeing the Texas all of my life when I went to the cyclorama. You know, Sunday school classes and that sort of thing used to go out there. And so I remember that well. But
One other story about railroads that I started to call you yesterday and didn't have time or something. You were real busy anyway. But when my husband came up here to go to school, we were in an apartment in a large house that had been converted into apartments, and it was not very far, just across the road from the railroad track.
Uh-huh.
First night we slept there, I would have sworn that that train came right across the street. I kid you not, that was just about to knock us out of bed. We hadn't been there, I know, months. We didn't even hear them.
Yeah.
They went by.
Yeah.
You know, we had two small children, they slept right through.
yeah, you get used to almost anything.
It was awful.
Human nature is
We got so protected.
Yeah, human nature is a great protector.
It is. Thanks a lot.
All right, you take care of yourself. I'll talk to you. 1-800-572-8255. I'll be very reluctant to move, unless it was just a real nice apartment, convenient to everything, to move right next to a railroad track, because I don't even want to lose one night's sleep. Let's go to Cartersville and talk to Don on the radio. Hello, Don.
Hey, Ludlow.
How you doing, bud?
Pretty good.
Good.
I don't know whether that lady told you about the general or not, but it's in a museum in Kennesaw.
Okay. Yes, that's what she said, that apparently the Cobb County or Kennesaw, whoever won the court battle.
State of Georgia, I think.
Yeah.
Sure. Let me ask you one more thing.
All right, bud. Good.
You go to Russell High in the 50s?
Uh-huh.
Early 50s?
Well, yeah.
48, 49, 50.
Yeah, I started out there, yeah.
I did too. I don't remember you, but somebody was telling me you did.
Yeah. I finished up down my senior year down in Morgan County, Madison, where my father's people are from. That's where I finished up.
Okay.
All right, bud, you hang in there.
All right, thanks a lot.
Good to talk to you.
You too.
Our number 1-800-572-8255. Ludlow and Jeanie, the Fun Seekers Radio Network. We have opened this thing wide open, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Anybody got any gossip for us today? You know, gossip is a bad thing as a general rule, but it has its place. And you hear some of it here on the air. People call up and tell you things, and they don't have any facts. That's the nice thing about gossip. You don't have to have any facts to go with it. You just got to make it up as you go along. If you got any good gossip for us today, we'd like to hear from you right here on the Fun Seekers Radio Network.
Yes, you all recognize Take Me Out to the Ball Game from baseball's musical legacy, and it's just one of many musical masterpieces you'll receive absolutely free just for coming to a Braves game. This audio avalanche is not available in any store, so call Ticketmaster at 404-249-6400 or 800-326-4000 or buy tickets at Turner Field. Remember, you get baseball's musical legacy plus the greatest baseball team of the 90s just for buying Braves tickets now. Call today.
800-572-8255. Brunswick, Georgia. My friend Jim. Hello, big boy.
Ludlow, how are you?
I'm great, pal. You all right today?
All right, boy. It's beautiful in Georgia. I feel sorry for those people in North Carolina, but it is nice down here on the coast.
Yeah, what time is that thing supposed to hit up there, Jim?
It's soon. I understand it's probably going to go in around Wilmington and come out about the Outer Banks.
Mm-hmm.
Make a swipe inland and out.
Yeah, the last thing I heard was sometime early afternoon, but I hadn't...
It's getting close.
Yeah.
I heard the lady mention the railroad watch.
Yeah.
I have a railroad watch my father gave me, Illinois. But it reminded me of something. I talked to you yesterday about the Time Life Library and the Wild West books.
Yeah.
On the railroad.
Mm-hmm.
I remembered something else. Prior to the railroads, we didn't have a standard time. And the time as you move westward would vary. For instance, the time in Brunswick, Georgia would be different from Waycross from Valdosta from Thomasville. As you move westward, time varied because the people set their watches according to the courthouse clock. And the courthouse clock was set by the sun. So you had varying times as you move westward according to the sun.
Yeah.
And then when the railroads came into being, there was a necessity to have a standardized time.
Yeah, that's...
And if I remember reading those books, that's when the standardized time came into effect.
Yeah, somebody had touched on that yesterday, but it wasn't quite clear. But I see what you're saying now. They almost had to use the sun.
Yeah, you would have to have the standardized time because for the most part, in the rural areas, the time was determined by the sun.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they set those clocks at high noon.
Well, I don't know whether they did us a favor or not. What do you think?
I know they wouldn't do them any good. As being a surveyor, it wouldn't do any good to call me in and check it because, gosh, that's a long time ago.
Denny raises a good point. Said, why didn't they call the bank time and temperature number?
that would do it. No, I really thought that was interesting that the time varied according to the courthouse.
Yeah, very interesting. And
as you move westward.
You know, the folks that in all these generations think that they've always had this kind of time, but common sense will tell you that something had to bring it about.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Ludlow.
All right, bud, you take care of yourself. Hope to talk to you soon.
Gotta go. I got a tea time.
Go do it. I'll talk to you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Airtran Airlines, gang. It's something else. Let's go to Alto, Georgia, and talk to Lois on the radio. Hello, sweet Lois.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. I enjoy your program so much because it is cheerful. It's not people calling in with complaints.
All right. I'm glad you listened.
I just like the attitude of the program, and I listen every morning.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I was going to tell you about my experience in riding a train. This was beginning of World War II. And I was living in Gainesville, Georgia, so my husband went to Jacksonville, Florida, and went to work in a shipyard, and drove me back to store our furniture and come down there.
Mm-hmm.
So I caught this train in Gainesville, a little train, and what I heard about the train, it stopped at every pig trail. And when I got to Atlanta, I had missed my connection. Well, I was unexperienced at traveling, being in a large city, anything like that. And all I had of his address was the hotel where he mailed a letter from.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I had to do something, and I had to ask a red cap.
Yeah.
Told him. Well, he told me something so fast I didn't get what he said. I didn't get that anyway. I had to go mail my husband a telegram and take a chance on him getting mad at his hotel. And then I had to get my baggage released and my money. And then I had to go to a bus station, which scared me to death. But somehow or another, I got to the Greyhound bus station. And when I got to Jacksonville, he had got the telegram, and he was standing there waiting for me.
You were glad to see that rascal, wasn't you?
I mean, I was.
I'm glad you called. You be sweet. I'll talk to you.
I can't mention my book on here, can I?
What book is that?
One I have written.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
It's Fanning the Embers. And when you have your programs about the way people used to talk and do things olden times, you know.
Right.
It really tells you about that.
Is that in bookstores around?
Around it locally now, in Gainesville and Cornelia here.
Okay. All right, well, I'm sure you got some folks listening that want to pick up The Fanning of the Embers. Got to go. You take care of yourself. 1-800-572-8255. Dalton, Georgia, and Hoss. Hello, Hoss.
Hey, Ludlow.
How you doing?
I heard you talking about the general.
Yeah.
And I wanted to call you and give everybody what I think is the correct information about the general, since I'm from Chattanooga and we're very aware of some of the general history, and I think I've got it pretty well right.
Good.
The general was, of course, stolen from what they called Big Shanty back then, which is now Kennesaw, Georgia, back in 1863.
Right.
It was abandoned on a stretch of the railroad lines off of Cleveland Ringo Road Highway, and there's a marker where the general was abandoned or left by the raiders. It was taken, it was scrapped for many, many years. It was the Chattanooga seal for about 75 years. It was supposed to have been given to Chattanooga by the L&N, since it was sitting on a railroad spur for about 75 years, rusting, and Chattanooga wanted it.
Yeah.
They were supposed to have given Chattanooga a letter saying that it was ours from now on, but we never could find it during this court battle that I'm getting ready to tell you about. But the 100th year of
I don't want to miss any of this, and I'm running. Let me put you on hold. Can you hang on a minute?
Sure.
But I want to hear the whole Megillah, and we'll come back and do that right after these important words.
From the
Riding on that New River train, riding on that New River train, that same old train that brought me here is soon gonna carry me away.
All right, now we're going to go back to Hoss and let him finish his story. Hoss, you're nice to hold on. I appreciate it.
Okay, yes, sir. Well, the Chattanooga seal at that time for about 75 years was the general. And when the 100th year anniversary came up of the raid, L&N told Chattanooga, the biggest lie of the century, they said they was going to take the general back to L&N Yards in Nashville, refurbish it, which they did, put it under its own running power, which they did, and they said they was going to exhibit the general throughout the nation for the 1963 or 64 World's Fair, and I think it was in Chicago. That I'm not really sure about. But then after they got the general in its running power and painted all up in the colors that it is now, they decided that since we couldn't produce, the Chattanooga people couldn't produce this letter that we were supposed to have had given us the railroad for scrap value, L&N awarded it to Kennesaw, and there was a mayor, Ralph Kelly, at the time in Chattanooga, and several of the police officials and so forth had communication, air communication, and everything when the engine of the general left Louisville heading down to Kennesaw, and it had to come through Chattanooga through the L&N Yards, and they confiscated it. They raided the general again and stole it, arrested the engineer, moved the general off to a siding and everything, and kept it. It went to the Supreme Court, I think it was, over many years.
Oh, yeah, years. I remember the long battle.
Oh, yeah. And was finally awarded to Kennesaw, Georgia, where it is now.
Mm-hmm.
The Raiders, Andrews Raiders, are buried, 7 of them are buried here in our National Cemetery in Chattanooga.
Uh-huh.
There is a statue or a plaque, not a statue, is a model of the general, about a 6 or 7 foot replica, copper replica of the general, buried at the site of the Raiders that I think were hung or shot.
Hung.
Andrews was a civilian, so I think all he got was shot. The people here that participated in the actual the Stilling of the General were awarded the first Medal of Honor medals ever. That was the start of it. And I want to say...
Talking about the Raiders were.
Yeah, the Raiders were.
Right, yeah, okay.
Because Andrews was a civilian. He wasn't awarded anything but a lead bullet, I think, was hung. But the first man, one of the Raiders, I believe was named Parrott or Perot or something like that, was the first person who ever received the Medal of Honor. And he was exchanged for some Confederate prisoners of war. So he came back to the North alive, you know.
He was probably the only survivor of that, wasn't he?
Well, he was more than just the first survivor. I mean, there were several, but there's about 6 or 7 men that were the Raiders that are buried in the National Cemetery in Chattanooga.
But they were hanged.
They were either hanged or shot, I don't know which.
Yeah.
And but the general now is in Kennesaw, Georgia. It's enshrined right there. It's longing to come back to Chattanooga. and I've been there to visit it and so forth. But Mayor Ralph Kelly was on the news, national news, and it went around the world. There was people contacting him all over.
I recall there was something in the paper for years every day about that.
That's right, because it went to the Supreme Court, and we fought it, but it only lied to us, and they give it back to Kennesaw, Georgia, or to Big Shanty.
All right.
And that's where it is now.
All right, my man.
I think I've got my information pretty well correct. Now, there might be missing a few things, but somebody who is a better historian than I am maybe can clarify some things, but that's what I know about it.
I appreciate the help. You call us again.
Okay,
take care, baby. 1-800-572-8255. It did go to the Supreme Court. I remember now a long, drawn-out court battle. I did not know what had led up to that. I did not realize that what the legal claims on both sides were. Very, very interesting, because it was pretty bitter, too. You know, see the headlines, you another, that kind of thing. It just went on and on and on. But now, both of those engines involved in that great locomotive chase, the Texas and the General, are both enshrined, and they're not anywhere rusting away, and that's good for everybody. I'm sure that doesn't soothe many feelings in Chattanooga, because they felt like they had an honest right to it, but both sides felt that way, and that's the way those things turn out, and that's part of history that should be preserved, and I'm glad to see it happening. Our number, 1-800-572-8. Incidentally, if you ever get a chance to see that movie, been a couple of versions of that movie. I think the one that Walt Disney did, called The Great Locomotive Chase, was probably my favorite, and an exciting thing that went on. Fess Parker was in that, and Jeffrey Hunter. Pretty good movie. If you get a chance to rent that or see that coming to your local cable, be sure and watch. That's called The Great Locomotive Chase. Technicolor, very well done movie. We'll be right back with your telephone calls and more conversation right after this.
Tree
all the world to share.
McGruff, the crime dog here, watching my nephew Scruff back for a vacation.
Okay, stand on the suitcase so I can get it closed.
Ah, you got everything you want?
Sure, baseball mitt, rubber bones, sticks to fetch.
All the essentials, huh? What about that nice expensive collar?
Well, I'm gonna wear it.
Hold it, kiddo. Keep valuables out of sight when you're traveling, so put the collar in your backpack.
Why?
You don't want to attract the attention of crooks who might follow you and snatch your collar.
Ooh.
You can always get it out when you need it.
Okay, it'll be in my bag right next to me, in the car.
Lock the bags in the trunk. Backpacks and luggage can tell people you're a tourist, and maybe an easy mark.
Can't wait until you take a trip and I can tell you what to do.
What's that?
I said I got a lot to do.
Fine, but meanwhile, remember these tips. Don't display expensive jewelry, cameras, or bags. Keep valuables out of sight, and try not to act like an obvious tourist.
And all that will be helping take the fight out of crime.
A public service message from me, McGruff, the U.S. Department of Justice, the Crime Prevention Coalition, and the Ad Council.
There's one polluted body of water you should be aware of. It's a body of water rich in minerals, yet it's not an ocean or river. It contains life, but it's not a brook, pond, or lake. And though you won't find this body of water on a map, it's clearly recognizable. In fact, you live in it. This body of water is your own body, 70% of which is water. When you pollute our natural resources, you may wind up polluting yourself. Want to know more? Call 1-800-504-8484. Learn how improper use and disposal of household products like paint, chemical cleaners, pesticides, and motor oil can damage our waters. Also, find out what is being done to make our waters cleaner and safer for everyone, and what positive steps you can take to help. Call 1-800